Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our daily learning and prayer program. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Eitan. Good morning, Carol, and all those that are still joining us this sunny winter's morning. So, I want to discuss a topic that we touched upon in over the course of Shabbat. It's a famous question, an ancient question, which I think has broad ramifications for us as a society, as a people, and as a community and individuals. And the question goes back to the time of Parshas Vaeira, the time of Pharaoh, the archenemy of the Jewish people and of Moses. And we know that he refused to let the Jewish people go despite Moses's protestations and requests. And we're told in the Vaeira that eventually that Pharaoh was weakening as a result of the plagues, as a result of the breaking down of Egyptian society and its infrastructure and its resources by God through the plagues. Therefore, he was weakening, and therefore we're told that God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. By Chazek Hashem es lev paro. And the question is obvious: why is it that Pharaoh should face justice? Why is it that Pharaoh would be punished? Why should the Egyptians be punished? If God, as it were, took over, if God took away his free will, then Pharaoh was a puppet. Pharaoh wasn't actually making decisions, and therefore he wasn't responsible for his actions. After all, guilt is punishment presupposes guilt, and guilt presupposes freedom and the ability to make decisions. And if you don't have that, then you can't be held culpable and responsible. So it's a famous question. Let me share with you just a couple of answers, and maybe we'll continue another occasion. Answer number one is offered by Maimonides, the great rationalist Rambam. He says that if we look more closely at the text, we'll notice a difference, and the difference is exceptionally significant. What is it? In the first 5 plagues, right, God didn't get involved. In fact, we're told that Pharaoh hardened his own heart. In other words, he bolstered himself, fortified himself, and was able to overcome the weakness as a result of the plagues, as a result of the weakening of Egyptian society. The second 5, we find a very different story. After each of the last 5 plagues, we're told that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Says Maimonides, the first 5 plagues of that Pharaoh endured, he was able to fortify himself. He made his own choices. But as a result of his misuse and abuse of his free will, therefore, as a consequence, he forfeited his right, his God-given gift to make decisions for himself. So the second 5, where God hardened his heart, it was a punishment. It was the repercussions of him misusing his free will for the first 5. Now, an alternative, an exact opposite approach is taken by the Seforno. He suggests something quite remarkable, and that is that in reality, not that God took away his free will, but in fact, God hardening Pharaoh's heart enabled and facilitated Pharaoh to have free will. Consider the following. After each of the plagues, if a person feels coercion, if a person feels under duress, are they really making their decision? Do they really want to say yes? The answer is of course not. The only reason that they are acquiescing, the only reason that they are agreeing, is because of the coercion, because of the torture. If a person stops the torture, then of course they'll change their minds and they'll say no. So therefore, Pharaoh naturally would not, as a result of the plagues, he felt coerced, compelled to say, yes, I'll let the Jewish people go. And therefore, it wouldn't really have been Pharaoh himself agreeing to let the Jewish people go. Therefore, God hardened his heart. Why? To counterbalance the ill effects of the plagues, so that now it was the real Pharaoh that was able to make a valid decision, weighing up the options. In other words, weighing up the position that Egypt found itself in and having his heart strengthened. And therefore, the real Pharaoh was now in a position to make a decision, of which was no on each occasion. Those are the two main approaches that we have. I think we have time to finish this off very briefly. And good morning, Estelle and Deborah and Carol and all those that have joined us this morning. People are still coming through the door, even at this late hour. And the next approach I want to share with you comes from Rabbi Sachs. Rabbi Sachs suggested that, that the way that free will was often depicted by the great philosophers of the past is it's a matter of something that's rather universal, abstract. It's a matter of yes, no, either we do have free will or we don't. He said, but it's something that's far more subtle, and it's far more nuanced in the approach that we should have towards whether we are actually exercising our free will or not. He said, consider smoking, any type of addiction, drugs, drink. So initially a person starts off and they decide to have a drink, to do drugs or to smoke. And over the course of time, the more that they engage with this addictive behavior, the less they are able to make their own decisions. And eventually they have to go into rehab where somebody outside themselves enables them and rehabilitates them to be able to make their own decisions. And it's the same in with all, so very often we find that it's subtle and insidious, but over the course of time, our free will is forfeited, or we give it up at our own will. And it's the same with organizations, and it's the same with countries. If you think about any organization, sometimes somebody does something wrong, or a person starts to lie, and one lie leads to another lie. They become entangled, enmeshed in lying, and they can't get themselves out of it, and they bring in other people that become embroiled in it. And this whole thing is a cover-up, which once started, they simply can't get themselves out of it, and therefore they felt compelled to keep on with this deceitful behavior. And it's the same with a country. You can have a non-democratic regime, a totalitarian regime and the like, and all of a sudden those leaders started off very often with lofty ideals and virtues, equality, and making the country great and giving opportunities, and they choose a certain path, and they become so hell-bent on that certain path and achieving their goals and aims that people become pawns in what becomes ultimately a game. They become a means to an end. Nobody's actually valued. Nothing is valued except reaching that end goal. And therefore they insulate themselves from the world around them. They don't take advice from people outside, those that are the yes men or women, and therefore they end up with being causing tremendous destruction and decimation around them. Says Rabbi Sachs, if we think about Pharaoh, in reality, the more he imprisoned and the more he enslaved the Jews and took away their freedoms, in fact, he was no less than imprisoning, enslaving himself, because the very virtues that he held so dear in Egypt originally, eventually he became distanced from them, detached from them, as a result of the policy which he chose. But once he went down that slippery slope, that path, there was no way back. And therefore he became enslaved and isolated and insulated from the values and from the ideals, and he wasn't able to make any real choices himself. And I think, friends, if we think about our own lives, very often we feel that we've chosen a certain path, we've become a certain way, we've made certain choices in life, and there is no way back. I can't change. This is who I am. And the Torah tells us quite clearly, God says to us, no, you can change. You are capable of changing. You must change. Every second of every day, we have the opportunity to make decisions, to make choices. And if we are able to make the right choices, the right decisions, and it may be stepping outside our comfort zone, but if we do so, then please God, we will be able to achieve great things in life for ourselves and for those around us. Amen. Wishing everyone well. Please God, we'll see you tomorrow. If I can find my sheet just for 1 second, we'll do the prayer. Hold on 1 second. It was here earlier. Okay. If I can't, I'll do it off by heart. Misma le David Adonai ro'ilo echsa binos deshe yabitzeni amei menuchas yanheni yanacheni b'maglei tzedek l'man shemo gam ki elech begetza mavis lo ira ra ki ata imadi shivtecha mishantecha himi nachmuni tarach lefane shocha negas rai dishana b'shem roshi kaisi ravaya achta v'chesi yidafini kol yimecha yavashatu b'veis nali arech yomim. And now we'll do the Refuah Shlema prayer. Mi sheberach avosenu Avram Yitzchak Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapes Achilim Babush Anu Mispalim Baburam B'Chazei Kadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachim Aleichem Lachem Lefosam Bishlach Lem Refuah Shlema Shemaim Lechol Vein B'Soch Shacho Yisrael Refuah Nefesh Fuso Guf Hashta Bagal Azman Kariv V'Noma Amen. Wishing everyone well, and please God, we should have a good day, and looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is a bank holiday, so it's 9:30 a.m. we will have the program. Tuesday's back to normal at 9 a.m., but tomorrow is 9:30. And tonight is Rosh Chodesh, wishing everyone Chodesh Tov, a good month, and please God, a month of blessings and prosperity for each and every one of us, and only good health. Take care, keep well, see you tomorrow.